Hello, everyone. Welcome to Strategize and Secure. This is an interactive video workshop series presented by Outlook Money. This video series basically aims to arm you with all the information that you need for effective retirement planning. While we invite experts from various fields to share their knowledge like financial planning, health and senior living, and more, today we are focusing on the financial planning aspect. Today's guest is Bhuvanaa Shreeram, founder and head of financial planning at House of Alpha, who will talk about what you need for retirement planning beyond the math. The topic of her workshop is retirement planning. Start with a calendar, not a calculator. This is an interactive session, ladies and gentlemen, so you're welcome to put your questions in the Q&A section that you'll see on your screens, and she'll answer them at the end of the session. This series is also being simulcasted on Outlook Money's YouTube channel. Those of you who have joined there can put in your queries in the comment section, and an expert from the House of Alpha will answer it there. So let's start the workshop. And now I extend a very warm welcome to Bhuvanaa Shreeram and welcome her to start the session. Welcome, Bhuvanaa. Glad to have you here.
Thank you, Nidhi, and thank you, all of you, for taking time off and joining this session. Thank you for having me here. And today's topic, while it is retirement planning, this is not a workshop on just retirement planning. The attempt is to have an honest conversation about the problems that we face in retirement. Now, I want to start this with asking a few questions. Is that okay, Nidhi? We can have a poll or something. Is that possible?
Yes, of course. So we'll start with a series of polls, ladies and gentlemen, just to put the conversation in perspective, and just to give you an idea. If we can play the first poll, Outlook team.
So I want you to think about 8 to 10 people, all of you who are attending. Think about 8 to 10 people in your life, amongst your friends, your family, your neighbors, your acquaintances, your colleagues, ex-colleagues, whoever. People who have retired, who are living that retired life. Just think of them. I hope you're getting some names and faces in your mind. Think of them before you answer these questions, and you tell me this. I see most people who are retired to be at one end of the spectrum, bored most of the time, and at the other end of the spectrum, very active and ticking off an active bucket list, or two, three, or four, if anywhere in between. Sometimes they're bored, sometimes they're active, whichever way. So if you can just give your points here, saying that I see most of the people around me who are retired, they are bored most of the time, then say one. If they're very active, then say five.
Right. So I'll end the poll in 30 more seconds so that all of you please click your buttons and poll for this. Okay, I guess it's time to get the results. It's still moving, so I'll wait for a few seconds more. Okay, now I'm ending the poll.
Okay.
So the results are here for you to see, Bhuvanaa. 35% are bored most of the times, 19% maybe a mix. Again, but more towards boredom. Choice 3, 24%. So again, somewhere in between, but more towards active perhaps. And choice 4, definitely more towards active.
So
But
we have about 28% of people who are tending towards living an active life. Okay, interesting. Okay.
yeah, so we'll take the next poll because we have a series of 4, 5 polls before Bhuvanaa starts the presentation in full. Let's have the second poll, Outlook team. Okay, the same logic applies here. Choice 2, 3, 4 are part of the spectrum. Whatever you feel is more. And we'll keep this open till about 30, 40 seconds for all of you to be able to poll. So a lot of people clicking, complaining about things, Bhuvanaa. And of course, meaningfully engaged is beating that, which is a very good sign.
So I'm only talking about what you observe, okay, not
Hmm.
what you desire for yourself. What do you observe amongst people around?
Yeah. Okay, closing the poll then and sharing the results.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have 37% meaningfully engaged, but about 20, 30, around 40% who are in between complaining and being meaningfully engaged.
See,
So
actually, I would
let's,
consider one, two, three, that end of the spectrum, to be all in the range of complaining too much, complaining little, complaining, a tiny bit, but in that range.
right,
So
right.
that's
So the
a
third poll,
significant number there.
yeah. So the Outlook team, please show the third poll. Now, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, it's just about three, four polls that you have to go through. So, the next one is that what you observe about people who are retired to be the first choice is bickering with spouse, and the last is having a positive relationship with family, and in between, of course, the spectrum, like we talked about. Okay, that stops. So, I'm again sharing the result, ending the poll. And about 46% have a positive relationship with family. I think India's joint family is to be applauded here. And again, the spectrum has a large number,
Yeah.
about 40 50%, almost 50%, less than 50% though.
Yeah.
So now for the last one,
Last
Outlook team, the last poll to begin the session. Okay, this is also about observations and on a spectrum.
people who are retired, are they
Yeah.
concerned about health? Or are they physically active?
So, what do you see your grandmoms and granddads and neighbors really doing? It's about observation. So, a lot of people are clicking on concerned about health all the time, and I am ending the poll because it stopped moving. And the results are about 40% are concerned about health all the time, but a good number of people are also physically active, Bhuvanaa.
That's a trend that we are seeing, right? People focusing a lot on physical health. As one last thought on the finances, also worried about finances, if we have time.
Yeah, yeah. The Outlook team, please, another poll on these lines. Okay, this is about the financial part, like Bhuvanaa was saying. So, worried about money or financially confident and self-reliant or somewhere in between.
Yeah.
So, people have stopped clicking. So, I'm sharing the results now, ending the poll. And that's 37% worried about money, another 6% on who are more worried about money than being financially confident, and only 34% financially confident out of 100.
Yeah. Okay, now this is indicative, right? So we do know people are talking about others and what they are observing.
Yeah.
So I want to place a question to people who are attending this session, who are watching this workshop. How would retirement be for you? My question is not what would you like it to be, but how would it be for you? Talking about this is very, very important because retirement can be, at the same time, one of the most exciting phase of your life, and at the very same time and phase of extreme anxiety, right? So today we have a choice, Nidhi, to talk about SIPs and NPS and annuities, just like every other retirement workshop. Or
Hmm.
we can get real. We can talk about the real challenges in retirement. We can talk about what's very, very important, because talking about it makes a difference. Okay, I want to get real today. If you also want to get real and talk about the real problems that retirement can, can entail, then stick with me here, because I think, Nidhi, it's important for us to have clarity on what is the problem we are solving. Okay, we should understand and we should be aligned on the problem. If not, even the best of the solutions will feel like a wrong fit.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you.
Yes. So I'm going to spend a little more time on diving deep on the real challenges in retirement. And if you can just allow me to share my presentation, I have a few thoughts to share with everyone, and happy to take feedback and your thoughts and suggestions, because this is about us. It's about you. It's about your life. And it's about what all of us are likely to go through today or tomorrow. Right. So being prepared for retirement and the cost of not being prepared for retirement on these various aspects is something that we want to delve on. Okay.
So I'll reiterate here that you can put in your questions in the Q&A box that you see either at the bottom of your screen or on the top of your screens.
Yeah.
And we'll take the questions. Bhuvanaa will take the questions at the end of the session.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So, will retirement be an exciting phase in your life, or will it be a very unsettling phase in your life? Now, that is a function of how you will approach this. Okay. So, getting into understanding what are real problems in retirement, there are four key aspects, four key issues in retirement that need focus. Okay, these are four. There could be many other, but we're just going to solve the bigger problems. Now, number one is the problem of physical decline, right? Because it's not just a matter of aging. As of course, as you age, your body changes, and you become slower with a lot of body movements. But it's not just a matter of aging. It's because that a schedule is lost. How active you were when you were working, physical activity, the moving around, a schedule. You get up in the morning and you're doing something to move around. That schedule stops. How many times have you heard this from people where say, okay, they were very, very active when they were working, they retired, and in just about 6 months, 1 year, their health drastically declines. Now, this is uh, predominantly because of a lack of structure. Now, why is it important to talk about physical health, and why is it important to address it? Is imagine this: if you're not physically active, what happens is you slow down. When you slow down, you're not moving around enough. Your muscles and your body mass, it takes an impact. And what happens is what you were doing very easily, you're moving around, you were playing with your children, you were playing with your friends, and walking around and running becomes a strain, and slowly your knee is hurting, the back is hurting, your calendar is filled with one doctor appointment after another. Now, that is no fun, and that is not the retirement that you want for yourself. So, physical health is a very important aspect of retirement. If we don't address this enough, all the wealth that you are creating ends up where it's not intended to, at the hospital, rather than take you on those holidays. So, this is a very important element of retirement, challenge in retirement, which needs to be addressed. Right? So the cost of inaction is, of course, an active life becomes sedentary and it causes health issues. Lack of activity leads to chronic illnesses. There are a lot of research that's gone into it, that sedentary lifestyle causes heart diseases and diabetes. And without a structure, health declines much faster. So this is one aspect. Number two, we're talking about cognitive slowdown, right? So when you were working, you were making decisions every day. There are 100 people you were meeting, you are solving problems, you're making decisions. There is a lot of mental stimulus as you work. And suddenly when you walk off from the work and there's not much of mental stimulus, the only adult conversation is probably that you're having with your spouse. And the max mental stimulation is from maybe doing Sudoku or doing Wordle or watching the TV. So what happens is then if we're not using, or it's just like another muscle, the brain muscle, if it's not exercised enough, it slows down. It slows down, causing lack of focus, sometimes causing depression, you're forgetting things, memory loss. So these are also very lot of research happening in this on mental health, cognitive decline, the impact of it in retirees. Retirees are the more susceptible to scams because they tend to forget. right? So this becomes a very important element, because what happens if you don't address this part of cognitive decline, uh, because whatever you were doing happily now becomes a strain, becomes fatigue. You're not enjoying those activities as much, and your world becomes smaller. The whatever youngsters are doing seems to make sense less and less, and that leads to loneliness, right? So that is a key aspect of retirement that needs to be addressed. The third one is the elephant in the room. We all want to talk about it, which is the third element, the financial stress, right? The financial stress about money is not what you think. Okay, when you talk financial stress, I mean, I understand whenever we talk retirement, the first thing that comes is, do you have enough money? Am I investing? Is my money growing? So you go on Google and read about financial, type retirement planning. The first thing that will come up is retirement calculator, some ULIP plan, some NPS, right? So that's what comes, and that's been the focus area. However, the focus has been misplaced. What we have seen in the last 20 years of my career working with people build their retirement corpus is that it's not really the problem of not having enough money. People do have money, but the point is they don't have a plan to spend that money. They don't know why all that money is there. Then what's happening is the financial stress is only a symptom. It's not the root cause. The root cause is a lack of plan as to how this money has to be eventually utilized. Because money is only a tool, it helps you live the best life possible. But what is your best life? It's a definition that needs. When people say, do I have enough? My question is, enough for what? Right? So without a plan, you tend to spend with a lot of guilt on little things that you could probably afford. Maybe like an extra gift to the grandchild, you're scrimping on it. There's worry because the regular income has stopped, which need not be the case, and it can. A plan will solve most of the problems, but not having a plan is a big problem. And this is something that
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I think Bhuvana is having a connection issue. She's frozen. We'll just get her back on line in a moment. So actually, one of the things in retirement is which Bhuvana is basically highlighting is the fact that there are several other aspects that have to be taken care of apart from the basic maths. Of course, the basic maths is very important. You need to know how much you need, and all of that. But if you are not clear about really the other things, what if you have enough money but not the health, which she was kind of highlighting, or the cognitive ability to understand things and live life fully even with your family, then it just doesn't make sense. So that is why it becomes very, very important to kind of look at the other aspects that are equally important, and if not more. So Bhuvana, I've just got a message from Bhuvana and she's joining very, very soon. And ladies and gentlemen, just to tell you that we are having this series as it is a regular series. It's a monthly series which we come back with different experts every month. And you can go back to the Outlook Money's YouTube page to kind of look at other issues and listen to other workshops. And Bhuvana is back.
I am so sorry. I'm really very sorry. I didn't realize that my phone was running, my computer was running out of charge. But I'm back. And thanks for filling in, Nidhi. And I think this was anyway close to your heart topic. We're talking about finances, and that's something that you do very well. So, like Nidhi was highlighting here, it's not having the numbers in order, not having a plan in place, which is the big financial problem. Not really the lack of money, but it is the lack of a plan. Yes. And the last problem in retirement that nobody really talks about, and but it is very, very critical, is emotional isolation. Right now, this is becoming a fairly big issue, because when you walk away from your job, you're not just walking away from the job that you're doing. You're walking away from the people. You're walking away from social connections. Right. So missing the social connections causes distance and lack of stimulus, and the isolation is makes people depressed. So this is a critical issue in retirement which needs focus. Okay, my idea here, Nidhi, is not to overwhelm people with the problems. Okay, but it is important for us to understand these issues, because I want to give here is a sense of urgency on this matter. Okay, before it is too late, it is important to address. Now, I want to just understand, do people here, the attendees here, do they see this as a reality? Okay, do we have a poll here to see, do you think these are challenges for people who are retiring that needs to be addressed before they can jump into retirement? Because retirement is like a fast moving train that suddenly there is a break in the movement of the train that puts people out of gear. So it's important to move slowly into the slower lane before they can stop completely, right? So can we just have that poll here? And
Yeah. So let's see what you think about what Bhuvanaa has been talking about till now. And Outlook team, can we have the next poll on the screen so that people can vote about things which we discussed: health, mental, mental stimulus, the financial aspect, and the other aspect, and the emotional distress aspect. Yeah, here it is. So, do you recognize these challenges in retirement? And there are four parts to which you have to answer in yes and no. So, I'll keep this poll running for a little longer so that you can look at all the four options: emotional isolation, financial security, mental health, physical health, in the bottom to top order. I've said that, but so a lot of people actually recognize these challenges, Bhuvana. So that's good news. And what you've been talking about, I think people have been taking it very, very positively. Definitely. So I'll end the poll here,
I
and
don't
we
know if it's good news. It's just a validation of our thought process, not
yeah.
really good news for
Because
anyone.
it's why I'm calling it a good news is it's the first step to act towards it. The first step, of course, is to acknowledge it. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
at least that much we have. So I'm ending the poll now and I'm sharing the results.
Sure.
And here it is: 93% recognize physical health as a challenge,
Yeah.
88% recognize mental health as a challenge, financial security, 95% are bothered about it. Though they, in the earlier poll, we saw that they observed that people are financially confident in retirement. And emotional isolation, of course, 90% are bothered about that. And I'm sure that's also because, a lot of children are moving abroad or to other cities, and parents are left to fend for themselves, even emotionally, in their elder years. So I'm stopping to share this, and Bhuvana, please take over.
Thank you. So, like I said, my idea is not to overwhelm and talk too much about the problems, but there is a need for urgency on this matter, because these problems are not going to fix themselves. You got to be doing something about this, right? So, I mean, I wouldn't blame you, and you're not alone. So, if you are identifying with these problems, I want you to know that you're not alone. These are human concerns; they are common concerns, and unfortunately, they cannot be fixed with a calculator. It doesn't start there. Your calculations, or you do retirement planning, and the first thing that comes up there, retirement calculator, it's not going to solve your problem, unfortunately, right? So But fortunately, there could be solutions. And I want to share some thoughts on how you could probably deal with this better, right? So, see, for years we've been told money is the most important aspect. Start with doing the calculator, but uh, you can start move it. Retirement is because retirement is not just a financial challenge. It is a life challenge. It is a change in. It's a big transition in your life, right? So I want to just spend a few minutes talking about transitions in life. Okay, so transitions in life. So you wouldn't deal with this like any other, right? Even if you're going on a small holiday, Nidhi, tell me you're going on a week-long holiday. Would you start with saying how much money do I have? Right? You would start with saying, okay, what's on my list of holidays I want, which is the destination I want to go to, and then you will work backwards to find out which is the best way to go, which is the best time to go, how much is it going to cost, what are the tickets going to cost, right? So not putting the horse in front of the cart, I think, is very simply non-commonsensical. But that's how we have been, prepared so many years. So I'm not blaming anybody on this. But now is the time to make that change. Right? Recognize retirement as not just a financial challenge; it is a whole life challenge. And the industry and Outlook Money, people like you have started talking about this, which is amazing. Right? So now the solution that I want to present to all of you is this. Oh, before the solution, let's recognize the transitions. Okay, why is it important to look at it this way? Is that every transition, because I'm a certified financial transitionist, I'm just giving a little bit of knowledge about this. Every transition goes through these four stages. Okay, the first stage is the anticipation stage. If you are not yet retired and you're looking at retirement, anticipation is the stage where, oh, you know it's coming maybe in 1 or 2 years. It may happen, it may not happen. I may get an extension, I may do some, there's a little bit of uncertainty, there's anxiety, there is excitement as well. You're already planning, okay, I will do all these things. I'm going to suddenly have a lot of time. So anticipation is a stage that, builds up, and then comes the next stage, which is the ending stage, where you know for certain, okay, the farewell party is done. No other work options have come up. The money has been credited into the bank, EPF gratuity, everything has been given. And the next day you're waking up and you're seeing that you've finished all your work and it's still only 11 o'clock. That's when reality hits you, saying, okay, oh, I'm retired. Now, this phase is usually filled with a lot of emotional upheavals. You're trying to figure out, now, what is my identity? Who am I now? I was a vice president in a huge MNC till yesterday, but today, who am I? Right? The dynamics in the house changes a lot, right? You were a giver, now you know more that. Right? So the ending is a very emotional stage, and that's a stage where a lot of money decisions are also made. And so people who are even in normal emotional state, you don't make the best of the money decisions. And in this critical emotional state, when you have to make money decisions, a lot of mistakes happen. So the ending is another stage. And the next comes the passage stage, right? The passage stage is where the reality has set in. Now you know I'm retired, but you've still not figured out, abhi kya karu main? I mean, what do I do with all that time? That passage stage, before you get into a new normal, right? So there is a normal, then there is a new normal. Something happens in between, is a transition, right? So before you get into the new normal, there is a phase called the passage phase. Now, it is in this passage phase that you have the choice. You can take this way or you can take that way. It's a moment of empowerment, right? So you can choose to take the way of, okay, I'm going to fill my time with watching TV. I'm going to sleep in the afternoon. I'm going to, I can choose to do that. I can get bored, then I can get boring, and then I can get pessimistic, and then I can fall sick. And that's one way to go about it. Alternatively, you can choose another way, which could be that, I have a plan. I already had a plan since before I started retire, thinking that this is how my new normal should be. And if this is how my new normal should be, I'm upskilling, I'm meeting new people, my passage stage is a preparation for a fantastic new normal. Now, what you do in this passage phase determines the quality of your rest of your life, which is when the new normal happens. So these are the four stages in the transition of, any transition for that matter. It could be marriage, it could be, a divorce, it could be losing a spouse, it could be retirement. Everybody goes through these transitions. Now, why I'm saying this is, in the passage phase or even in the anticipation phase, you have these options. of how you want to design your retirement. And here is when trying to say the best way to go about planning for retirement is to start with the calendar and not the calculator. Right? When I say start with the calendar, one of the exercises that we encourage clients to do is something called the 168 hours. Now, Nidhi, you, me, Prime Minister Modi, Bill Gates, Mukesh Ambani, everybody have the same 168 hours in a week, right? Each of us fill it up in different ways. Right now, both of us are working. We probably, if we have to put down the number of ways in which we spend our time, we probably say maybe 60, 70 hours in a week goes at work. Right? Most people here, say 60, 70 hours going at work. Now, once you're retired, now you're going to have 60, 70 more hours. What are you going to do with that time? This is very, very overwhelming for many people when they start doing this exercise. They say, oh, I'll go for a walk in the morning. Okay, very well. That's 7 hours in a week. Now, what about the 53 hours? Now, oh, okay, maybe I'll speak to my children. Okay, that's 2, 3 hours. How much ever they want to speak to you, 2, 3 hours. Okay. Now, with this, they suddenly think that there's a lot of time that is unfilled. And then if you don't have a plan for it, what are you doing? You're Netflixing, you're sleeping in the afternoon, and that causes a lot of cognitive decline, all the problems that we spoke about. Now life has become sedentary, there's very little mental stimulation, there's very little social interaction, and you know the works, right? So the problem is that you don't have a plan for the time. This is one activity. You say, okay, this is how my current time is being allocated, and this is how you want time to be allocated. Now see, when you're working, you want to retire. When you're working, people want to retire, fire, wo sab kuch. And then after retirement, people want to go back to work. Okay, so just make up your mind. What is it that you really want, right? So what people want is they want balance. They want a little bit of this. They want a little bit of me time. You want a little bit of family time. You want a little bit of work. You want a little bit of challenges in your life as well. So you're finding that balance is the first level activity. The next one is where you
Sorry,
do the
Bhuvanaa, before you go on to the next one, there are some we in the Q&A section, there are a lot of people saying that we want the slide to be bigger
you
because
want
they
the
want
slide to
to
be
read
bigger.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe then you could unspotlight me and remove the spotlight on me, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Go to the previous 168 hours, you could show them the 168 hours. So this is what it is. Maybe it's not very clear here, but work is an important bucket. Downtime play is an important bucket. Family friends is an important bucket. Sleep is an important bucket. Personal growth, health and fitness. Can you find that balance in your time to live a very good life? So this is one activity that we typically do. Happy to leave this with you. So fill your calendar is the first step. Now, it's important that a lot of retirees also tell us this, that yeah, I'm very busy. Okay. But busy doing what? Busy doing what, right? So a bee is also busy, a mosquito is also busy. And so that's the point, right? So are you doing things that matter most to you? Are you doing things that is important, that's purposeful, that's meaningful, make you get up in the morning with some objective and some purpose, right? So that is the first important element in living a refired life, like how we like to call it, not a retired life, but a refired life. The first step is to fill your calendar with meaningful activities, right? The next one is creating a financial plan that supports this life plan, right? So you put your life in front and the finances just support it. True wealth is not about accumulating more. It's about the freedom to be more. Now, what should your financial plan consist of? How should you look at financial plan? Your financial plan should consider the returns on your portfolio. It should consider the risk. It should consider the tax treatment, all of this taken. What most importantly it should consider is the need for cash at different points in time that will support your lifestyle. Now, what's your current lifestyle? Are you going to change? Are you going to move to another city? Are you going to spend more on travel? Are you going to give away money for the children? What is the cash flow need? Understanding this will help form a financial plan that makes sense in your life, right? And liquidity. Right? When you make decisions on your money without considering all of these aspects, you end up buying products that are not liquid, are inefficient on taxes, right? So having a financial plan that supports your life is the next big, block or uh, foundation that you will place in your refinement plan. Now I'm going to not stop talking about retirement. I'm only going to talk about refirement, right? So the next one will be, of course, focus on health. I'm not an expert here, but this is something that you should take expertise on. Focus on health, mentally alert, staying mentally alert, working on memory, muscle tone, strength, balance, flexibility, gut health, energy levels. So focusing on health so that you can all those items in the calendar can be done. Your calendar is not filled with one doctor appointment after another. It is filled with meaningful activities. Right? Focus on health is the third part. And the fourth, of course, very little spoken about, but plan your legacy. Right? If you're 60, okay, so with every breath, of course, we are all dying, but we do have one foot in the grave. So it's a great idea to have a financial estate plan, a personal legacy plan, a healthcare directive, a living will. How do you want people, your family to deal with you if you fall ill, right? A succession plan, a business succession if you have a business, right? So having a very well thought through legacy plan is also a very important aspect, because I have seen many people after they write a will, there is a lot of sense of calmness in their mind. It gives them that sense of peace. They say, "Oh, okay, I've thought about this. I know what will happen." So there's the anxiety, oh, what will happen? What will happen is gone, and there's a lot of peace and there's a lot of happiness in the process. So these are four key pillars in the refinement plan, I would say, which is number one, focus on filling your calendar with meaningful activities, create a financial plan that supports the lifestyle that you want. Number three, focus on the health. And number four, work on the legacy. We did speak about transitions, and I want to share with you some examples of people who have refired. So I just give you some examples that probably give you an inspiration. So here is Himakar and Nirmala. So Himkar was he was he was working for a MNC company, and he was in Bombay. Then they were living a very, very active, busy life, and they chose to move because they wanted to be close to nature. They wanted more social interactions. They wanted to do something with something close to nature. So both of them moved to Coorg, and they bought some coffee estates. They bought some a homestay place, a beautiful homestay place. If you were ever visiting Coorg, you should go visit them. It's called Copper Hill, and they put up this lovely place there, and they live close to nature. They meet a lot of new, very, very interesting people. They're active. They're employing people in their farm, and their dream life. Of course, they complain about Coorg being much colder than Bombay, but that's part of the process. So this is one example of somebody who took the whole planning very, very seriously. And this is what I'm going to do. So my finances have to be this way. So my health has to be this way. I'm going to go live in the mountains. It's going to be different. So they had a plan for it, and the fantastic example of somebody who refired. Another example is that of Dr. Sudha and Mr. Shrikant. Mr. Shrikant came from an IT background. Dr. Sudha was an educator. They'd already, when they were 45, decided they want to be in the developmental sector. They were experimenting. They tried different things. Mr. Shrikant tried his hand at some teaching. Then he realized all that correction paper admin work was something he didn't like. Then they figured out that they found out that the need for IT solutions for visually impaired people was something that was an unaddressed aspect. So then they moved to Tirupati, did some work, and then they moved to Bangalore, and now they work with Enable India, taking IT software solutions for visually impaired people that empowers them. This is a fantastic story of refinement. The way they talk about it, that this podcast is there on our YouTube channel as well. They say we like small school children wear our backpacks and go to work. Both of them are well into their mid-60s and living a very happy refired life. So another example. This is, of course, Mr. Sanskiri. He worked at CHRO in one of the largest infrastructure companies in India, and he refired. He was from Bombay. He loved history. He wanted to stay active. He wanted to meet new people. He became a walking tour guide. Okay. He takes people on walking tours. He works with Kaki tours. So if you ever book an Kaki tour, walking tour, then you'd probably meet him. He talk about his retired life. He talks about his father, who lived also a fantastic retired life till he was 85, 90. So we've seen people do this. We've also seen people go the other way, right? So, some few elements that we've learned from these people's life as to how they went about it, how they added curiosity and challenges in their life to live a very successful, fulfilling life is something that we took out. And those four key elements that I said: fill your calendar with what matters most, create a financial plan that supports it, stay healthy so you can execute your primary plan, and then finally ensure that you have a plan to move on, right? So the letting go is also part of the successful retirement, successful aging, or the refinement process. So this is a few thoughts that I had that I wanted to share with everyone, Nidhi. I'm happy to take any questions, and I want to know if this was useful to everyone.
So lovely presentation, Bhuvana. And I'm sure our audience loved it because the way they were requesting me to just put the presentation in full screen mode, they wanted to enjoy every bit of it and learn from every bit of it. So that's great that there was so much engagement. And there are a few questions in the chat window. One of it is from Mr. Rajiv Kumar. He is asking that how does one remain relevant during retirement monetarily and physically?
Yeah, so that is a that's a fairly big question. It's a lot. There is ageism in every industry. People try to say, okay, well, I will find consulting assignments, doing this and that, but it's not being easy. Having a a hobby or having something that's meaningful, and finding that out is a big it's a big deal. So in the refinement program that we do have psychologists, sorry, psychotherapists, who help with identifying what are core values that people, what drives people's who drives people's lives, and then identify what is their ikigai, find out what's their core strengths, and identify a few activities, and then experiment with it, and then take it in stages, right? On how can you purposefully fill your calendar is the first big challenge that needs to be solved. Everything else will sort itself. Now that's a critical element of the retirement plan. How we will do it, it's a probably a session for another day.
Absolutely. And the presentation will fill up a lot of gaps in your plan, I'm sure.
Yes.
So
So
another
there
question.
is a little workbook that we put together in this process, which in your in the Delhi event also we
Hmm.
had we were sharing this with people who walked into our kiosk. There are a set of about 8 or 9 activities, tools that take people through. Starting with the 168 hours. There's a values checklist. There is a visioning exercise, and there a few activities. So I can make that downloadable, maybe as a PDF document or something if you
In
want
the
it.
comments. Definitely, we can put it in the comments once we have the YouTube video up of
Yeah.
this session
And they could
presentation.
download it. That could be a starting point. I'm not saying it's going to solve the problem. We will need
Absolutely.
more help on this, but that could be a great starting point.
And to our audience, just to give a context, Bhuwana was referring to Outlook Money's 40 after 40 retirement planning expo, which happened in October we in Delhi. And the next one is slated for February 2025. February 7th and 8th is the date for the third edition of this one of a kind expo that kind of focuses on retirement planning and is meant for every age group, not just for the people who are planning for retirement, but also for the people who have kind of retired and are looking forward to how to spend their lives. And like Bhuvana explained, retirement is a very important thing, which she's coined that lovely term for it. So another question, I'll take one last question, which is from Soumya Moni. It's about financial freedom. Not very clear, Bhuvana. What does financial freedom in rupees look like today for someone who chooses to start a plural career instead of retirement from corporate full-time job at 50? I think what she means is that if she wants to retire at 50, what is the process to achieve that, to achieve financial freedom by then so that she can take up maybe several career opportunities on a freelancing basis or whatever volunteering basis after that
Fantastic.
stage.
No, that's fantastic, right? So you want to, she's finding balance. She's saying, oh,
Hmm.
my work is taking a lot of my time, but I want to be involved in work, but I want more time to do other things. So that's perfect refinement ideas. Now, the financial plan for this will be very interesting to do, where we say, okay, income has maybe slashed down, but expenses remain the same or they go up. Now, there is probably some wealth that she has from her employment or what she has built. Now, this is growing at a particular rate. Now, you have to ensure that with the new work that she's going to do, maybe she's going to have enough money to sustain lifestyle, or maybe not, because incomes have come down but expenses have not. Now, how is she going to bridge this gap? Now that becomes the key question, right? So now there's probably some wealth, and it's probably growing at some rate. How is she going to fill this gap? Now, in the process of filling this gap, will at any point in time she run out of the money that she's already accumulated? And how can she ensure that that money lasts longer? Now, this will be a very, very interesting financial plan to put together. And once there is a plan, I'm sure she can see many options. Retire at 50, retire at 48, retire at later. What is the level of income she should expect to get? What is it that she can afford to give up? So those are answers that a great financial plan will throw out. When you run the numbers, there's a lot of clarity that comes. So it will be a very interesting plan to do.
So another anonymous attendee is basically had a similar question. I'm sure you got the answer. He had asked that how can we plan for early retirement? Pretty much very similar. But I had said that was the last question. But the way questions are pouring in, Bhuvana, I'll take one more. Krunal Mehta is asking, what's the minimum corpus one should have before retirement to live in a tier 2 city? It's a currently working professional aged 43 to 44 years.
So he needs a retirement calculator. I'm sure there are dime a dozen calculators out there that he can use. So, tier 2 city, you can live a very lavish lifestyle anywhere in India, or you can even in Bombay, you can live with 20,000 a month, you can live with 20 lakhs a month also. So, what's your lifestyle like? What is it that you desire to do? So, I wouldn't hazard a guess here in this session on a number like that. It will be very misleading. I don't want to mislead that gentleman, giving him false hopes or scaring him away. I would recommend that you reach out to someone who can do this for you, a calculation, and put a plan together. Probably be a better way to approach it, because this is a high stake decision. It's not something that you do every day, and you make a mistake with this, there's no going back. It's a high stake. I mean, if it's just a headache, you go out there, buy a Saradon, pop it in. But if you're going in for heart surgery, you take a couple of opinions, you go to experts. So this is, I wouldn't want to give over the counter recommendation on this. Sorry.
So definitely, what Bhuvana is saying is absolutely right. Outlook Money also believes that when it comes to calculation of your retirement corpus, there are online calculators that can give you an idea. But to get proper financial advice, you need to go to a professional advisor, and there is no other way to do it. Of course, you can do your calculations yourself through these calculators, but that might not give you the full picture or be able to inculcate the discipline that is required to build a retirement corpus. So, very happy to host you, Bhuvana, and for such a lovely session. Our audience seemed to love it, and there were lots of questions and engagement. Thanks a lot for being here and joining us on this Outlook Money 40 After 40 platform.
Thanks for providing an opportunity for us to present our ideas on this platform, Nidhi, and always a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot. Bye. Good day to our audience.